My middle name is Carl, but now from now on it's Garl. Is your middle name actually Carl? That's actually pretty funny.
This is jkgames podcast. This is a special episode.
Do-do-do,
Maybe you add some effects, Kayla. She's a video producer, editor. You can do like some maybe confetti. I don't know, something magical.
How about stars, Jerica?
That makes sense.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Maybe some stars, because we're talking about Sea of Stars today.
Yeah. I'm
Maybe
excited.
a whole sea of them, you know?
You know, it is a little bit of a different format than what we normally do, but it is something I think that me and Jerica have talked about we want to do more of, is like a specific emphasis on a game and bringing along someone. Hello. Oh, down here. He's down here. Someone like Jordan from Cosmic Clips to discuss with us Sea of Stars Deep Dive. Get it? It kind of is funny.
Yeah, we're going to dive in to those stars for sure.
Ravi in the chat, I'm not staying long for this because playing is high on my list for spoilers. Is this full spoilers? Yes, we're still in our introduction right now, just talking about overall game, like what we enjoyed, but pretty soon we'll get into spoilers. But we appreciate you stopping by.
If we want, we have like an outline. We can move story a little further down the list. That way we don't spoil him if we just want to.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Sure.
Those can be interchangeable. We're not, I'm not picky, if you can tell.
Okay.
From this so far.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe we start with like gameplay and performance and like overall our introduction to the game, our meet cute, if you will, for the game. Because Jordan actually told us he had a really good story, but I know we can do this at the end as well in case anybody jumps in later on. But did you want to just introduce yourself to our podcast really quickly? I'm Kayla, one of your hosts. If you're new, hello, welcome.
Hey.
This is who's this girl over here?
Oh yeah, I'm Jerica, one of the hosts normally here. I don't know why I sound like a robot all of a sudden, or someone's like posing inside my body. I don't know.
Hello, I am Jerica. I host the podcast. Now, I am Jordan, also known as CC in the chat, aka Cognitive Clips. I do a lot of video essays style content on YouTube, occasional streaming, but that's mostly just to get the footage for the video essays, honestly. I came across jkgames from by way of Kind of Funny Games Daily, as many people probably did. Yeah. So followed you guys like a little bit over a year ago, and then here I am, which is pretty wild. This is awesome. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's so magical. Would you say it's full of stars and magic?
I would.
A beautiful moment. Honestly, it took me a while to beat Sea of Stars. It takes me a while to beat games. If you guys are returning listeners, you know this about me. It takes me a while to really beat a game because I have a very short attention span. And so if I can't like really get roped in, or it takes me an extended amount of time to beat something, it's a little bit harder for me. So I actually saw your video essay, Jordan. I didn't watch the whole thing because I wanted to make sure I didn't get spoilers either. And it really reignited me because I kind of, it teetered on possible. I know this is like blasphemous to say, but it teetered on getting put on the backlog of Doom for me.
Oh, no.
Because I know the tragedy. But the reason why is because like all the reasons I just said. But then I saw your video and I was like, oh, I need to pick this back up. Oh my gosh, you
I didn't know that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I started it way back when. I don't remember, Jarek. I mean, I've talked to you about this for a long time now. I was really intrigued, but I just wasn't at a place where I could dedicate a lot of time to it. And so I revisited it after watching your video. So you guys should go check that out too, because we're going to show some gameplay today from his recordings, but that your video essay was really great. So.
Oh, thank you. It's I was just saying this to y'all off camera, so off stream, I guess. We were on camera. This is how this works. But yeah, I had prior to that video essay, I had done like a little bit of like posting some gameplay from Sea of Stars. I think one of my very first things I posted on YouTube was like just a full run, like no stopping of Metroid Dread, because I wanted to submit it to the speedrun website. Number 26, it's no big deal.
Oh, that's a cool fact. It's pretty
out
dope.
of 26, but it's fine.
I don't care. I think that's pretty cool.
Well, thanks. Yeah,
You're
but
in
I
it.
had exactly the name's on there. It doesn't matter how low down it is.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I'd seen video essay style stuff from people like Jacob Geller, and even as funny as a lot of the stuff is, like even Donkey does some like actual like essay style stuff. And so like I really wanted to do that for a while, but didn't really know what to focus on. But I finished playing Sea of Stars, and I was like, yeah, this is it. So that was my very first one. So if you do go back and watch it, it's not the best quality, but it's there. It's fine. It inspired Kayla.
It did.
And that's all that matters.
It re-inspired me because it got lost.
Sorry. Re-inspired. My apologies.
Come on, man. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And Jerica, where did you first hear about it, or did you? Because I know me and you talked about it, but it was already on your list. Did you like see gameplay or just see people talking about it?
I can't really remember like what got me to playing, but it had to have been like after you'd been playing it, and also one of my friends, Chad, was played through it pretty quickly when it launched, I think, or shortly after. I think he played it right when it came out, and just kept like gushing about it. And then when you were starting to play it, I feel like just something else was out. So and at first glance, and I'll go ahead and say this, I'll put out a disclaimer, I don't play a lot of games in this kind of style or gameplay similar like this. Like the last turn-based game I played was like, I'm not even count like, well, the last Final Fantasy games I've been playing are sort of like action, more like actiony, and you are choosing to attack, and it's more in the moment and versus taking turns. I guess that's why it's called turn-based. But the last like true turn-based game I played was like Persona 5. And before that, probably Pokemon Yellow. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's another one in there. I'm not going to go that far back in time. But those types of games, I usually am turned off by, but I tend to play through them sometimes, once in a while. I don't know. I got to be in a mood. But I saw it looked really pretty, but I was like, I won't ever be able to get into that game. I'm like, the story's probably cute and good, but at first glance, me knowing nothing about it, I'm like, maybe I'll get to it. Just from like the gameplay, it did not intrigue me at all. Like, I was like, one day I want to get to it because everyone's talking about it. But right now, I'll play something else. I think really because of Kayla and Chad, and then, obviously you talking about the game. And finally, I was just sort of burnt out from other things. I was like, I might, let me pick this up and see if I can get into it. Because everyone, Kayla keeps talking about how good it is. Kayla's like, and she's got a few good picks in the last year's fantasy league. I'm like, okay, Kayla's a gamer. Watch out. She's on her keyboard and mouse.
Oh, certified.
Keyboard and mouse,
gamer.
like real gamer over here. So I was like, I'll finally pick it up, and I just started it. And one thing I was a little bit nervous about was like the gameplay. Will it be something I get addicted to and enjoy? And we'll get into this later. But yeah, there's a lot of things different about this game that make it really special. And obviously, in my opinion, anything I've played I've never played anything like it. Like I thought it was super unique, and the best combination of a turn-based game. Like I don't ever want to play any other game unless it's like a Sea of Stars game in terms of turn-based. So, I finally just picked it up. I don't remember when I started playing, Kayla. It was a few months ago. I mean, it took me like a couple months to play.
Semantics.
I think I started it, and then I also took a little bit of a break. I think Final Fantasy, I was also playing Rebirth. Maybe that's what was happening. And Destiny, God, how can I forget? Oh yeah, most of my year's been being taken up by Destiny. So there's probably a few.
Destiny?
Oh yeah, a little bit, just a tad. It took over my life.
You dabble a little bit.
But yeah, I finally got back to it and finished it because I didn't want to take any longer because I don't want Kayla to forget about things, and that would just be rude. I need to finish this week and finally. And then I also felt bad about you not being able to talk about it somewhere. So like I had to finish it. So yeah, sorry.
I love being your guilt that you feel.
I just don't want you hanging, waiting for me. Makes me feel bad.
I'm just kidding.
I thought I could catch up to you, but I didn't.
Well, did you really like? I mean, you still completed it way quicker than I did. Let's be clear.
It took a lot of
But-
dedication.
Yeah, well, I feel very similarly to Jerica. The initial, and I think that that's why this, if you're listening to this and you haven't played it, and you're wanting to just like hear a little bit about it, or maybe you felt similarly. It's not normally the type of gameplay style that I am initially drawn to as well with the turn-based. But I think what it does is really special, and like what Jerica talked about, like the way that it is incorporated into the story and the way that it's done is really really intriguing. Once you start to get the hang of it, because it was a little bit of a learning curve for me as someone who doesn't play a lot of games like this. So I was like, I was very difficult at first. And throughout, there were some times where I'll be honest, this might not be my proudest gamer moment, but I had to look up some stuff, some strats. I had to look up some strats.
Yeah, a little hard.
Couple
Fights.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
It's the same as playing on things on easy mode. Like you bought a thing or you bought into a thing, or even if it's free, and like you want to have fun with it. So like whatever you got to do to reach the end goal,
yeah,
do it.
And
if
I
it's
think
a guide, if it's easy mode, just do it. It's all good.
Yeah, I looked up a couple of like strategy type things, which I felt like were really helpful without being spoilers. On like, hey, like pay attention to this in this boss fight. Kind of target this first. And I think that there's some really good accessible things for that when you're stuck. But Jordan, is this normally the style of game that you are drawn to? Is this like within your wheelhouse?
Yeah, it is. I play a decent amount of RPGs. I really liked in a similar style as far as like the graphics and 2D essence of it. Like Octopath Traveler. I had a lot of fun with that one a few years ago. And I'd also played some of Octopath 2 last year, and then at some point I got off of it, and I tried to go back to it after Sea of Stars, and that didn't work very well. Because like Jerica said, it's like something about like the way that they did all the turn-based combat and stuff in Sea of Stars kind of ruined it a little bit for me. Because I was like, why can't I hit the button and time it better?
Yeah.
Like I had forgotten until recently, so I haven't actually played the remake of Thousand Year Door yet, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. But I forgot that that's actually part of that too. Even on the GameCube version, there is at least a little bit of like, oh, if you press the button again when Mario jumps on the Goomba's head, then you can get more damage or hit two enemies instead of just one. I forgot that was a thing because I played that game when I was like, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. So like, technically I've played that style of game before, at least in some capacity, but I hadn't seen it in, probably since then, and it was really unique and really cool. And for anybody who's curious, I don't know if you all did this before you played it or not, but there is a demo also. There is a free demo for Sea of Stars.
I don't think I didn't play that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Because I
jumped right in.
Well, there you go. I don't know if you guys did this either, but what clued me in, or like how I first heard about the game, was I kept seeing ads for like the Kickstarter campaign, I think, and like the key art is just stunning. I don't know if you have that like handy. You're gonna pull up like because I have the art book. It's in the art book too. But the key art is just stunning, and I was like, okay, turn-based RPG with really cool art. All right, I'm in. And then they released a demo, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely in. So I was there like they it came on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus on day one, so I jumped right in.
I played it on Game Pass, which I'm really glad, because I don't know that I would have invested the money into it with not knowing if it was something I was going to enjoy. So I'm really glad it was on Game Pass so that I could enjoy it. But now I want to purchase it to have like the physical copy and like have access to it whenever I wanted. So I do want to do that. But yeah, I figured Jerica said maybe we move the story and characters down a little bit just to avoid spoilers to get some people a little bit of a taste. So we're already kind of talking about gameplay and like what we enjoyed about it and also performance. So I think that if we dive a little bit deeper into the gameplay, like we were talking about, part of the thing that makes it special for me, she's got cute.
It took me a minute, but I got it. It's going to cover up Jordan just a little bit.
Yeah, and so this might also seem a little bit like, when I first saw this, I was like, I kind of thought that this was the style the game was going to be in, which, we'll get to that later. But it's stunning, absolutely beautiful. like it looks like almost like it looks like an anime. Like what if they made an anime like based off of this? That would be
I
so
would
won't even- oh
love
my-
a whole
I would watch
animated
that
series,
stuff.
like because like there's a we'll get to it, but like they do have a few animated like cutscenes, and I just wanted more.
Yeah.
I wanted more so bad, and I want to hear their voices, because you don't hear
Yeah.
their voices at any point, right? There's no voice acting.
Just a little-
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
It's giving Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it's like Animal Crossing-esque. What if KK Slider was in the game though? Like that'd be wild. Just like
Oh, Aravi gifted a sub. Thanks. So nice. I think it went to me, which is funny.
Nice.
I love it.
The art.
That's very cool.
The art is so pretty though. Like I definitely want to get the art book. Maybe find some prints to order. Yeah,
Yes,
it's
thank you for
gorgeous.
showing it. Wow.
It is well worth it. It is really quick. I don't want to like dwell on this, but it's really like one of the coolest things besides just seeing all the stunning art that they did was they he actually puts, I don't know if you saw this in like the advertisements for it or on the website, but there are actual conversations between the artist whose name I believe is Bryce Coe. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, but the conversations between him and Thierry from Sabotage Studio about like what they want to do with the character, like, oh, I was thinking this for this, or like, here's like 4 ideas for this. Which one are you leaning toward? Like, and there's actual like little like there are actual conversations, and then sometimes he even throws in like a present day Bryce, and he'll like put a little quip about like, I thought it'd be really funny if this character had this type of animal as his like companion instead of this, and like so it's really cool even to. Aside from just the art, there's little stories that you can kind of see like from behind the scenes. So that's I really enjoyed that aspect of it too.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I actually didn't even know it was a Kickstarter until after I was playing it.
Me too, and
which
I'm
is
so bummed.
crazy.
I missed it.
Right.
I wanted to have
Yeah.
my little statue in the game. I would have done that. I would have made sure that happened. I don't know if
Do
you
you,
found the little shrine. I don't know the name of it.
Oh, you talked about this in that section. I didn't know that until you explained it to me that it was all the contributors.
That's when I figured out it was a Kickstarter at one point, because like I went inside the shrine. I was like all these statues and things, like people's names, and I was like, this sounds like real people. Like here's Drew's statue. I don't think Drew would be living in these times. Maybe he is. I don't know. But there's a lot of very normal this day and age names on these statues. I was like, wait, these are real people. Oh, it's a
Here lies
Kickstarter.
Glenn,
Yeah, exactly.
So
Valiers, Alan, Glenn.
I was just looking at their website because I realized I hadn't really explored it much. And when there's a FAQ section, and it actually says, which games is Sea of Stars inspired by? And they said too many to name or even count, though a few obvious ones would be Super Mario RPG, Illusion of Gaia. Is it Gaia?
Gaia,
Illusion of
maybe?
Gaia.
Gaia.
And sorry.
That's my new game.
Illusion of Jericho.
I'm gonna make that my new game.
And dare we say Chrono Trigger, which is
Oh
funny.
yeah, so much Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Never played. I've heard of it.
I haven't either.
Never played.
I played. I've never beaten it, which is I want to correct that at some point soon. But apparently, one of the combo attacks for 2 of the characters in Sea of Stars is like directly copied, lovingly, like obviously not like ripped off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it was like it directly referencing a Chrono Trigger attack. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Hey, thanks, Blaster Goblin, for the subscribe from Prime. I don't know what that means, but I don't know. I guess you get it with Prime. You get access to do that.
We're
I
learning the
think-
lingo today.
So I don't have Amazon Prime, but I believe that when you have an active subscription, then once a month you can like get it for like use your Amazon Prime to
Cool.
subscribe to a channel. So yeah.
Well, welcome to the crazy. We're just talking about gameplay still. Jerica, did you have anything else to note about like the actual gameplay, like what you enjoyed or just the overall performance?
I know this is at the top of the list, but I feel like obviously the story, the art style, music, all those things are great, but like the gameplay is what hooked me and made the time where I had to go retrace my steps. We'll get into that later. All over the planet, this place, multiple times. But the gameplay was so much fun, and like learning how to defeat enemies was amazing. I love what they did with like how to really swap, how to quickly. We guess we are in this section, which we're still talking about. Like, I love that you can quickly swap your characters in and out.
Yes.
I thought that was
Oh,
neat.
yes.
I feel like that's not a unique, or that's not common in games like this. I feel like that easily. and being able to learn all of the different party members' special abilities. So you can bust down these, I call them shields, like getting down there like super or whatever they're about to use.
The locks.
Yeah, and really being creative with what abilities and what power up and combos you need to use to take down those barriers. That was so much fun. I got really addicted to that. It made even the most difficult fights super engaging. And like some of those boss fights took me a long time. And at some point I couldn't even tell, because you don't see the health meter, right? I think you can buy like a special ring or something to say you can see those things, but like I never did. So I just at some point would just never feel like the boss fight's gonna end. And I'd just be sitting there. I feel like it felt like an hour sometimes. And then you finally like defeat the boss, and it just felt so good. It felt like you were like on the ground with those characters, doing everything boots you can not to die. Yeah, boots on the ground. But yeah, it was so much fun. Like, I'm so glad I played, because this has now spoiled me for where any other turn-based games I might play in this style. It's awesome.
Yeah, like in addition to just inspiring me to really finally like make a video essay about something for my channel. Like it last year, of course, Tears of the Kingdom came out, and they remastered Metroid Prime, the first one, and like just shadow dropped it out of nowhere in like the middle of February. Those are my two favorite franchises ever. Metroid Prime being one of my favorite games ever. Tears of the Kingdom probably currently my favorite game of all time. Sea of Stars was number 3 for last year. Like, that's how good this game is. Like, if it hadn't been for those two, it probably would have been my number 1 game of the year. Like, even over Final Fantasy 16, which is amazing. Even over Alan Wake 2, which is amazing. Like, it's just, the gameplay is amazing. Like, everything that you've been talking about so far, I completely agree with. But I also love that lock system, or the shields, whatever you want to call them, because Octopath has a similar thing. I don't know if you've ever played Octopath Traveler, either one of you.
It's been on my list, because it also looks cool.
Great. It's really great. That HD 2D, stunning. But yeah, I love that it's so like strategic of like, okay, like I'm up against these 3 enemies, and I know this one's a lot stronger than the other 2 just based on other attacks, and so but I only have enough combo meter or whatever to like break one of these locks, so who am I gonna have to do it to, and like can I revive or should I just shield? Like there's a lot of strategy that goes into it, which I really appreciated. It was a lot of fun to try to like suss that out as you went along.
Yeah, for sure. I think it takes a lot of finesse to like figure out, and I think that that's what kept it fresh for me, is the different combinations of all the characters that you have, that you can use all the different combos and like the cooldowns, and I found all of that super engaging.
Yeah.
Which kept me from getting like kind of feeling more stuck. So yeah, I think that if you are listening and you think that maybe this game isn't for you, before we get into spoilers, which is probably soon, so just as a heads up, I think that just maybe download it on Game Pass. If you don't already have Game Pass, I think it's worth getting a Game Pass to play this game, or play the demo, like Jordan was saying, because it may be something that you don't know is your in your wheelhouse or your forte, and maybe it is. And maybe it's
I don't know the last time I played anything like it, but it was definitely exactly what I needed in the moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was great. It was perfectly timed. It was fate for me to play this game.
Yes.
I do have one pet peeve. Keep going, Kayla. But before we move on to the next, I have one pet peeve. One thing I was really angry about.
A critique.
Oh no.
One thing I didn't like. It's like really, there might be 1 or 2 things, maybe 3. I'll think about them. But definitely this one thing was the map and knowing where to go. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just a big derp over here and I don't know how to use a map, but I feel like the map was not great. But everything else is amazing. But trying to traverse the world early in the game made me very angry. And the map wasn't great. I don't like the map. I don't understand why I don't like the map. Maybe someone can help me. But I feel like I couldn't get around.
I'm the map.
I need a map that sings to me and tells me where to go.
Yeah.
I did like how you were a little person walking around, though.
It was cute.
My only issue with that, it was cute. My only issue is that you moved so slowly, and I was like, I want to run across this map.
But like, you imagine it's the planet Earth, and you have your continents, and you got your countries, whatever. I just couldn't tell what areas certain things were in. I guess when I was backtracking to find all the conchs, that's how I say that, everybody.
Conchs.
That's how I say it.
The conchs.
Those shells that crabs live in, I think. The
Yeah, before we
conchs.
get demonetized, conches, I believe.
Oh, is that a bad word? Is that word
No,
mean
it's
something?
not.
I was
It's
like, oh
not.
no,
No,
great,
but it
great.
sounds
No one's
suggestive,
told
you know?
me. I didn't mean it.
I'll just let you go, you know.
Conchs, the conches. But yeah, trying to navigate the world with the map and trying to figure out where these little places are at were the only challenge. Other than that, 10 out of 10, you know?
It was a little tricky. And I feel like other games lately have very subpar maps as well of like, you know, it'll be like you said, like a 10 out of 10, even like, you know, to go a few years back in a completely different genre, Control. One of the best games of the past decade. Oh my God, that map is terrible.
Horrible.
Like,
Terrible. I hated it.
yeah. So like, I don't know what it is about these, you know, S tier games with F tier maps, but
They
here we
gotta
are.
have something, you know?
Yeah.
I agree. And I will say that is a complaint, a little bit of a tiny complaint of mine, but it is kind of endearing when I think about it post gameplay is like, I got lost a lot.
Yeah,
I just get lost.
me too.
And I'd be like, sometimes I would have to restart from my last save just to like get me back to where I was before. Robbie in the chat said that's kind of a standard 90s JRPG world map style mini person walking around.
Yeah, oh yeah, for
makes
sure. For
sense,
sure.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Jerica, do you have any other hot takes for the gameplay? Not hot take. That's not a hot take. That's pretty
Trying to
light.
remember what town it was. I love the music. Well, that's a whole section in our outline here, but just saying there was one city that had a horrible soundtrack. It's fine. It's a
Really?
good song, but after it just stayed in my head forever.
Oh,
And it was this, the coastal brisk. Is that it? Brisk
I
city.
feel like
Yeah,
I remember
yeah.
this.
That song was fine, but it stayed in my head and it sort of made me annoyed when I was paused or going to the bathroom or making a sandwich
Yeah.
and coming back. I'm just
That's
making
another
jokes
thing.
at it because there's really nothing bad about this game, but I had to find a few things to nitpick.
yeah.
Which I mean, fair. It's fair.
I was
For
going to
sure.
get those off my chest first. The map and the
Yeah.
brisk city song.
That is actually another thing that you may or may not have already known is that they actually got the guy that did the Chrono Trigger soundtrack to do several pieces for
Which
Sea of
makes
Stars.
me sound like a butthole, but that song was just a little chirpy at times.
No.
I appreciate
No,
the
it's not
rest
a
of it.
button.
And I only learned that because of the documentary that Chad actually was like, hey, you should watch the making of this game. And it was so interesting because
Oh,
I had
I
no
haven't seen it.
I had no idea until I watched the behind the scenes making of
Yeah.
the game. And that
I don't
was
think that
really
he did
cool.
I don't think he did the one for Brisk. So
Well,
I think they're
whoever
still
did
safe.
it, I don't want them to feel bad. The song's great. It's
You're
just
watching.
really annoying at times when you've been there so
He's
many.
watching
When you have to go
again.
back to that city again for something like a rainbow conch.
Yeah.
I did not do that.
I love that you're just doubling down.
Yeah.
I love it. Just, yeah.
That's what I do. I tend to do that at times, but
Never
moving
change.
on.
You know.
Me and Jerk are very different style of gamers. I'm a let's get her done, and Jerk is like let's collect all of the conches.
I like to do that. I like to make sure I
love that about
get
you.
everything when I'm doing it in one goal. I like to do it when I'm there. I don't want to have to backtrack, and I had to backtrack a lot in this game at
He
times.
Yeah.
said, "Get him conks.
Get the
and
conchs.
Get out."
I was like, how many conchs are in this area before I move on? I try to do that. So
Yeah. Did you find them all naturally? Did you have to look at them up? A couple of them. Which is fine.
when I
obviously.
heard, and we'll get to this later. How many times will I say that? Probably 10 more times.
At least 3.
Yeah, at least 3. I heard there was a different ending when you collect a few things, including these conchs and certain quests. So when I knew that information, I always like the ultimate ending. If there's a better ending, I want it. I want it.
Give me that.
Give it to me. So I was using a guide. So I did use a guide because I didn't want to backtrack. I didn't.
Yeah.
But I found a lot of
fair.
them on my own. But like before I would leave an area, or at least I would do a recap. Like how many was in this area? Did I get them all? So
Yeah.
More.
That's fair.
Mhm.
I didn't even know it was a thing. I would just find and be like, oh, kind of cool. I didn't even think about maybe if I get all of them, it might be helpful.
I wouldn't have known that
Um,
either unless Chad told me about it. So
oh, okay, okay.
Were you not spending them at the shop?
Oh, sometimes I would, yeah, but
Okay. I
but
was
not.
oh no, did you miss that part?
No, I got those. But
Okay.
I did. I didn't think that they were necessarily like a collectible thing, like that I could. It
Gotcha.
was
Yeah.
important for me to get all of them. Um, but yeah, I feel like we can. I will put a spoiler wall up now.
okay, here
so
it
like,
is. Letting down. We're pulling back the curtains and exposing
yeah,
the sea of stars.
she's upset about that. My dog.
Yes. Perfectly timed.
We're about to expose the Sea of Stars.
Dog was
Spoilers.
like, "No!"
For shame.
All right, she should be good now.
Okay.
Where were we? Spoilers.
Exposing it.
Exposed. Well, we
Yep.
we want to speak freely, so I figured, spoilers before if you guys are listening. Oh, okay, gotta go. Bye. No spoilers. Okay, bye. Bye,
Bye.
Josh. Now that he's gone, I'm kidding.
Finally.
Let's talk some story and some characters. This characters are the really like what kept me loving the game for as long as I did, because I
Yes.
feel like all of them are so unique and just special. I just think they're all really great. And you start off with, just your core two, which Jordan, please educate me again on how to say our
Yeah.
main female protagonist's name.
It's again, I had to learn it like 2 weeks ago. Valir is how you say it.
Disclaimer,
Valir.
apparently
Sure,
I
got it
was saying it right,
She was.
and I
No,
don't,
don't just
I'm not
brag
great
it.
with French. Or am I? Maybe I am. I guess I am.
Maybe you are.
I was saying it right. But it was
I
the
was
only
saying
name
it
it was the only
wrong.
name I was saying it was right.
I was
think
saying
you're right.
Valair, and then Kayla, you say you were saying Valerie.
Yes.
I'd heard that before from other people too. But apparently, yeah, there was like some sort of social media kit on the Sea of Stars website that's like, here's how you pronounce these, and
Oh.
like 7 characters' names, and it was like Valir, Zale, Garl,
Which Garl.
Girl.
Garl.
Oh, not Garl. No.
Garl.
But yeah, you kind of start off with our two main protagonists, and Garl does come along shortly after, right? Like he's not in the very very beginning, but he comes along, and we get some flashbacks. And honestly, what hooked me immediately was obviously the art was beautiful, the music amazing, and I don't know, it just felt really immediately like super cozy and inviting. And I'm a big reader. I've talked about that on here before, and it felt very much like a immersive fantasy setting that I could get lost in. And so I really loved like coming home and just like zoning out, especially the beginning part where you're in like the Elder Mist type
Yes, yeah,
setting, very like just cozy feeling.
Yeah.
Did y'all agree with
Yeah.
that first area?
yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very, very cozy area. Yeah, it was in the demo. You have, I think, Valir, Garl, and Zale, like as you're like fighting one of the it's the chromatic aberration, I think is how you say it, when you're trying to get the treasure for the pirates so they'll take you to the island. Like that's part of the demo. And so I knew that Garl was part of the game. And then like you were just saying, that the game starts you off with just the two, and then there's a flashback to where they were kids, and then shortly after that,
don't mean
Garl appears.
Question.
Yeah.
Jordan was amazing and provided some footage of this game.
Thank you.
Any point in time, I do have that footage queued up. Should I just
Oh.
put some up or find a specific clip to start with? As
Oh,
we're
there's
talking?
I
That
believe
sounds
I
like
titled
something.
one. Yeah, I think I titled one Garl. Add yourself, girl. Yeah, there's Garl losing an eye. Jeez.
Oh right, back to girls losing an eye. We forgot. R.I.P.
R.I.P. to his eye.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Hey.
I'll see myself out. Bye.
Okay, that's all we needed from you. Thank you.
People should be able to hear us now, I think. Hopefully. I
Yeah,
really
he
hope
said
so.
yes.
Okay, cool.
Or,
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Hey, it's all right. We in here. We're ready to go. We were talking
here.
about
The eye.
yes, Garl
Yeah,
getting introduced.
yeah, that was I don't know, maybe this was the part that was no audio, but yeah, just that Garl was in the demo and then he's not there at the very beginning, and then when he pops out like after, like an hour, it was still so hype. Like, that's how great these characters are written, and they're just like so immediately endearing. Like, you just believe their relationship, you believe their friendship, that like, these two like special warriors are just like best buds with this normal guy from their town, and it's I love it.
Yeah, I was really immediately like really touched by their friendship and their little friend group. And just like you said, like he's not like this, proclaimed solstice warrior with this special mission, like, but he's along for the ride until the very end. So I think that he's definitely a great character. So
Oh yeah.
but any other comments about kind of like the opening section? I don't have what is the like first area called? Is it the Elder Mist? I know that that's like the first main part,
So I feel
right?
like with the flashback, it sort of gets you teed up to know what's going on a little bit. I mean, it's been longer for Caleb, but I have
Yes.
a horrible memory. But I feel like
The,
you learn about how the kids got together and they're on this little adventure now, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The island is called Moon Cradle.
Okay.
But the Elder Mist, he is like the being that lives in the mountains that are on Moon Cradle, and that's like one of the stops for all the Solstice warriors once they pass their trials, is to go seek out the Elder Mist.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
This story
Right?
like off the bat was like so unique and something it doesn't really remind me of anything else. I think it's pretty cool. Like I still don't understand how the kids come from the stork or whatever, because like they just fall out of the sky, right? I
have a theory.
Okay. I don't know if anyone caught that, but I was like, did I have a dream that the bird dropped the babies, the siblings down into the town? Like,
Oh, he straight up does. Yeah, he just straight up drops them into the haystack.
like that's pretty cool.
Assassin's Creed style.
That's where babies come from, for real, in this world.
Exactly.
These solstice
They
warriors.
they refer to that stork as the great eagle. But who turns into a great eagle?
I didn't make that connection. Huh.
That's my running theory. Like, part of it, I don't know how full of holes it is, because part of it, they act like he hasn't left the archives in like a gajillion years. But like, I think at least one other character refers to him as the Great Eagle, like to his face, and he looks like maybe he transforms into one. So I don't know. That's just my theory that it's actually Rashawn, but I don't know.
Well, anyways,
I think that would be really cool.
Ever so often, two twins follow the sky and they can wield these abilities, from the moon and sun, which, that's pretty unique. I think of Pokemon, but I don't think about humans being Pokemon. That's what this reminds me of, which is really cool.
Yeah, winter solstice and summer solstice.
There we go.
Moon and sun, respectively.
Does it change your story beats if whether or not you chose Zale or Valir to be your main? Okay, cool.
Nope.
Your main.
Yeah, so that's what I did for my main playthrough on PS5. I was Valir, and then when I started up on Switch, I did Zale just to have it different. Because for anyone who doesn't know, they're interchangeable. Literally, anytime you go to like a campfire, which is a lot, you can just switch back and forth. And the game tells you that too. Like, it has no bearing on anything. It's just who you want to be leading the party.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it I think the only difference that I've noticed is like who people will be addressing during certain scenes. But I mean, of course that makes sense. Like, I'm pretty sure whoever Garl takes the hit for in like the flashback depends on who your party leader is. I could be like, Zale, watch out, or Valir, watch out, depending on which one you chose. But again, the end result is the same. They can't fight yet because they're too inexperienced. He loses an eye, then they go get trained for like 10 years. So.
Yeah. I really liked the the save points in the game. I liked the little book animation.
Yes,
I don't know. That was
so
just like
cool.
really, really cool to me. As a book lover, I was like, wow, I love that.
The sound design for like everything. Yeah, for
Yeah.
that, I mean, for all the attacks, all the like little sparkly type of. I'm not gonna try to imitate it because I can't. Like all like the
I think
little
you can.
sparkly.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Erica's a professional imitator.
Yeah.
Good.
Which one are we?
Do sparkle.
I forget what that. I don't.
Sparkle. No.
What? Which one? Whose attack is that? Or spell?
Or the whenever you're landing a moonerang attack from Valir.
Is it just? Yeah, there it is. Did you like that? Well, I definitely wasn't in rhythm. I was better at it in the game, I promise.
That was my favorite one to do.
Yes,
Was like
mine
that.
too.
I love a moonerang.
It was
Because I
great.
just try to keep going as long as possible. I'd be
satisfied,
like,
yeah. Like, and like I feel like I have to move my head with like the timing, so I'd just be like holding the controller, like it'd be like that. For some reason, I know that was pretty jarring to watch, but that's what I did, and it helped me land all the.
You're just like, are you okay, Jared?
Oh yeah, like everything's fine.
Well, I didn't even think about that being different because like I played on keyboard and it's it's just keyboard, not your mouse is like disabled essentially. Like you are only using the keyboard.
Interesting.
So it's just the WASD like that to move around, and then you use your space bar for any kind of like parrying or like timing things. Yeah. So. I wonder if how different that was comparatively to like the controller experience. I'm very curious about that actually. I might have to get it on my PlayStation for that reason. Sorry to derail us a little bit.
No, you're fine. This is super embarrassing. So again, as we've said, the combat there's like inputs you can do that will increase damage for you and or decrease damage that you take from the enemies, and that includes like special attacks from people. And Valir has her moonerang that you bounce back and forth to all the enemies, and then Zale just has like this sunball, and it's like hold A to whatever. I didn't know until like last month, so I'd platinumed the game before I realized that if you release at a certain time, it makes it stronger.
Me too. I didn't know that to the very end. I'm so glad. Oh my god! I was about to say the same thing. I was about to say the same thing. I thought you just held it down and then let it go. This is kind of boring. I'm glad I picked Valir. I know. I thought, and I think I was like thinking about that too. I was like, hers is so much. I feel like there's a little bit more skill involved with hers. Why is his such a letdown? Yeah. But I was like, oh, you gotta let go as soon as the ball's big, like the biggest fireball. Then you let go.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm glad that wasn't the only one. So
that could be the whole episode because I was just like, well, figured that out way too late.
Surprisingly, I did know that one. I don't know how, but
normally you're playing on keyboard and mouse, and you're a professional. Okay,
I'm not.
So
I'm a poser.
No, you're not. You're a pro gamer, Kayla. Own it.
Proser. I don't know.
Proser. Wow. Yeah, but as far as like every time we got a new character introduced, I was like, oh, and another one. Oh, and another one. And I was like, really, but it was all meaningful. Like every time we like got another party member, it felt very like relevant to the spacing and time that we were in the story and like where we were at. Because I think the next person that we get is, I'm gonna butcher her name. Is it Sarai? Is that what she said?
Yeah, I would just say, yeah, that's what I'm thinking is. So
okay.
That's why I was been saying in my head at least, Sarai.
Yeah. Because we get the addition of Garl in present day, and then we also get Sarai in her area, and I think that her character, I would also love to know. I don't know when this would make sense in the discussion, but like who's everyone's favorite character to play as was. Mm-hmm. I thought hers was very interesting. I can't say that I used her the most, but I thought her like the animation of her attacks. So Sarai is she can essentially create portals, and she has daggers as her weapons. So I thought that she was really cool.
She's like a cyberspace assassin, which is my middle name. Also, middle names.
Jericho's cyberspace assassin.
It's me. And
Speaking of that, that's a joke I didn't catch. Was that I mean, I caught the joke that Yolanda or Yolande, I'm not
Yeah.
sure, would always say, "Oh, my middle name is Ballistics or Demolition or whatever." But then when they're getting registered to, like, we're full spoilers, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
When they're registering to cross the Sea of Stars, she says her full name, and her middle names include all the things she said her middle name was.
Yeah. No, it's so
Aw.
cool. It was awesome.
I didn't catch that either. This game's also funny. Like
Yes,
it's
it's
really funny.
One of my favorite early ones was when you were in, I think it's like that little mole town, and like
Yeah.
you
I
saw
love the
some
mole
like
town.
yes, you saw some puzzle and you fall down and you like open a treasure chest, and then like you like open a door and you walk out and the guy's like, "Hey, how's my treasure chest?" And it just like pulls in your character and just like ... And
Yeah.
he's like, "I'm just kidding, you can have it. Thanks for the help."
Yeah. I feel like I need to replay this to like recatch all those moments. Like I feel like I missed so much. I don't know. I need to go back. Revisit.
We have to go back, Kate.
Yeah, literally.
Lost? Anyone watch Lost? No.
Yes. Oh,
Jerica.
yeah. Big fan. We gotta go.
Yep.
But yeah, she was definitely one of my favorite characters to play. I used her in my party a lot. Just she had an ability I feel like that would allow you to get like an extra move. I forgot what it was called, but I used that a lot. I don't know if any of the other characters had like a special move, but like would knock the turns back for the enemies.
Yes. I think
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah. What was it called?
I use that a lot because
Disorient or something?
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
there was one fight
that a
that like
lot.
if I didn't take down, it was like the robotic head was so difficult for a minute. For me anyways, like they had like little different head like tentacles coming out of it and they would like heal. Oh no.
Oh no.
I feel like he's moving like extra fast.
Oh, the dog.
That's the elusive animal that was running around earlier.
Yeah.
I missed it last time.
What were you saying, Jerk? I forgot.
You know, the robotic head.
Introduce us. Who's this? Oh, you're muted.
That was Nova. He was just going crazy outside.
Aw. I love
buddy.
that.
He's the same dog that almost tanked the entire night by knocking all my crap off the table, but it's fine. You know, we're good.
He's so cute and innocent looking.
He is. He's adorable.
Meanwhile, in the background, my dog's moo.
That was a good. Yeah, that sounded just like. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, woo.
Yep. We were talking about Sarai and her disorient, and you were talking about the
like,
heads.
What's the robot head? You remember that?
Yeah.
And it's like they had all the healing abilities, I think, if I'm remembering that right. And
Yes.
like,
Yeah. I just did that one the other day on my Switch playthrough.
yeah, that
One
was
of
a,
the
not a fun
hardest.
fight.
that was a tough
Yeah.
fight. That was one of those fights I never thought was going to end. But that's why I used her a lot. That way I could actually be able to take down like shields or what did you call those earlier, Jordan?
Locks.
I think they call them
Locks?
locks. I think
Okay,
like the I think like the achievements and trophies call it locks. Like
Okay, cool.
break 15 locks and you get a trophy or whatever.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
that's the only reason I know what they're called.
I always wanted to get
Otherwise,
the
I would say
locks
shield.
down. I wanted them down. I want
Yeah.
to get them all gone. It was like the completionist in me, which I couldn't do it every time. That's why I used
Ooh,
her a lot, though.
Have either of you tried going for like the 100% trophies, achievements, whatever?
No, nah.
So that
Not because I don't want to. It's just like, whew.
yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. I achieved it I think at the end of April maybe, so it's been a few months. But that final trophy it's so tricky. So what you have to do is fairly late game, so the Sarai quest that you have to complete for the true ending, where you like go beat that, you know,
Yeah,
like
the mother.
giant gun,
It's like some
mother
kind
gun
of
thing.
mother gun, yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool fight, honestly. But like when you beat that boss, and there's like a relic that you get that's
Yeah.
called Artful Gambit, I think it's called. And so what that does is your HP and your HP gets taken way down, but every time that you block an attack, it just makes it only do 1 damage against you. But no enemies take damage if they have locks on.
Ah.
And so, like, then the achievement trophy, whatever, is to beat 10 bosses with that Artful Gambit turned on.
Oh, geez. That
And
sounds.
so, like,
Oh, God.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, it's like a new game plus situation, so you are really strong.
Oh,
Like,
okay, okay.
When you're coming out of like that
Yeah.
opening section in the caves against the big slug, that's like a 1-hit fight. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like that makes it bearable, but like a couple of those fights are really sweaty, trying to keep everybody alive and trying to time the blocks and like still.
Yeah.
But I did it. I did it, mama.
There would be times where I was like on my last character and I'll be like, oh my God.
Oh God. Oh
I
God.
gotta make something happen.
Right.
Oh, okay. So then I missed a character. We get introduced to Teeks actually before we get introduced to Sarai, which I think is a cool addition. I didn't always listen to all the stories, so I might have missed some things, but it is pretty cool that you have like her around you to like essentially like read you bedtime stories at night.
It's cool. And
I did.
They usually were connected to either a place you've been or you were going to. I can't remember. Like it was connected to an area you just visited. I can't remember for sure, but it was always tied to something close something you've done. I think. Like
and that's just really cool to me because it's like that's something that you can tell is like very lovingly crafted for the player and from the hearts of the creators because like it's not something you necessarily have to have. And you know, I think in late game she does kind of like have some like voice lines and she's like involved. But I just thought that was really cool. I thought that addition to the game was.
I just remember she started sharing the story about. I'm really bad with the names, by the way, but like the ship and the ghost on the ship. Like I remember that was one of the first stories she tells you, and then eventually you get to be a part of that experience and like see the ship and stuff. And I thought it was really neat.
It was so cool, and I'm pretty sure just based on my ears, I guess, and also looking at the soundtrack titles because I also bought the soundtrack.
Nice.
I really like this game, you guys.
Yes, that's why we have you here. That's why you're here.
But there's like, I'm pretty sure there's like unique tracks for each story that she tells, or at least like a handful of unique tracks throughout the story. So
didn't know that.
One again that I didn't notice, even though platinum the game, it took me until the Switch playthrough to notice. We meet two of these triplets throughout the story. One's the necromancer, and then there's the witch in the Whispering Woods. That's just like she's like neutral, and then her sister was the evil one. The one that was good, I never caught on for somehow. It's extremely obvious. I think the story that she tells even says it. But the one that was like the good triplet was the leader of the Solstice Warriors in Mooncradle before our story started. Like she's the one that Moraine is like mourning because she like. Her and like a dozen other people died fighting the one dweller. Like she was the third sister. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah,
I don't know how. Like, I miss things.
Yeah, that's why I want to replay it. It's because I do feel like I missed a lot of those little things like that. Yeah.
But also, one of the stories is about like the vampire rose. I don't know if you all like listen to that one.
I think I did actually listen to that one because I was like, vampires. I'm interested.
Yeah, that was like a really like creepy, cool story. But then I just listened to it, didn't think anything of it, and then a few hours later, big bad guy shows up and he's like talking to his little underlings and he's like, "How are you still alive?" And he's like, "Vampire Rose." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." It actually ties back into the story, like
which is really unique. Yeah, I think that's really cool. I understood
that reference, Captain America.
And that's another thing that I guess to me, this kind of intertwines the story and characters and the gameplay. But like one thing we didn't mention directly was like the additional abilities you get throughout the game and like the little nuggets of like I think me and Jericho were talking about this before she finished about how it keeps you engaged and keeps you interested like as you progress, getting these new like abilities that you can apply and go back to areas where you were before that you didn't have access to. Super cool. Like I think the first one you get is like I forget the term for it, but like the wind where you can blow things and like move
I forget
them.
what it's called too, but yeah.
Yeah. But I think that like I don't remember what it's called.
I can't remember, but yeah, like you just reminded me I was sort of complaining and being mean about the map earlier. I'm not being mean. It was just like one little thing that sort of annoyed me. But it get better because like this game, like you get abilities that you'll pass like structures that you can't really figure out how to move at the beginning, and then you get these abilities that allows you to slide boulders around and like solve puzzles. Gives you that ability to want to retrace your steps again, which it's harder at the beginning of the game to do that kind of stuff for obvious reasons. One, lack of abilities. Two, like you don't get any kind of fast travel till later on. Like I feel like much later on in the story. And there's like a couple of ways that you can fast travel when you get through it, but like not knowing any of that was just like it was making me mad. I'm like, oh, am I gonna have to? How am I gonna get back here? Like I know that I'm gonna be able to move this rock at some point. Oh my god, that took forever. I feel like that was fair. Hours ago. So that gave me a little bit of stress at the beginning. But I do love when you're able to do that kind of stuff, and I'm glad they made it easier for you to go back and forth later in the game.
Yeah, I agree. And like this is a completely different game, 100% different. But it kind of reminds me of like Jedi Survivor, and like the way that you can see what you don't have access to yet, but you don't necessarily know that you don't have access to it yet. If that makes sense. Jedi Survivor does it a little bit differently, where like I think sometimes it'll show like a red, like where you on the map where you're like, okay, yeah, I can't go here yet. But I think that was a really cool thing about the game. But I am not necessarily always the kind of person to backtrack in games, even if I get a new ability, like because collecting everything isn't what is the most interesting to me. Normally, I'm pretty story driven, but that's like because there's the true ending without the doing that, it kind of intrigues me in that aspect. But
yeah.
Anyways, off on a tangent. But I do think that the addition of the abilities that you get throughout really keep it interesting. And we also have the celestial runes as well. I really liked doing those. I loved how it changed the whole environment when you use those.
Me too.
And having those combined with the puzzles was always really fun. So you would have to like, and some things wouldn't show up unless you were in either the like night or dark, or the nighttime or daytime, and then you could see like, oh, at the certain areas. But
they did
some of the
really cool
puzzles
stuff
were
with
tricky.
those. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
I forget exactly where we're introduced to Sarai, but who is our next character? We have Sarai, and then I think we're introduced to, we get the reveal with Rashawn about who he is, but that's not until a little bit later, I don't think.
It's I think he is the next character.
Yeah,
he is. Okay.
Yep.
I love the little, to no one's probably surprised, the like library scenes. I was always just like, I want to live here forever. Oh my god!
And it was so cool when when it got caught up to the archivist like talking, and then you hear a knock on the door, and it's your squad. They showed up. They made it to this point. I was like, what the hell's happening?
Right. I was like, oh,
that was so cool.
Did either one of you play The Messenger, their first game?
Nope,
I did not, but I want to.
Now I want to, because I know it's like a sequel, or like a prequel. Sequel. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a prequel. So his first thing he does is like send you to the mountain, the icy mountain or whatever. That entire island, not the Clockwork Castle, but that entire island is the Messenger.
That's
it's
so
like part of
cool.
the Messenger.
Oh, I gotta play it.
Yeah. So like, it's insane because the same composer did both games. Where like there's the Messenger, most of it's like in like an 8-bit style, so like original NES, but this is like more 16-bit like Super NES style. And so like you'll go to like Autumn Hills is one of the main. It's like one of the first areas in the Messenger, and it has like this really awesome little bop of an 8-bit soundtrack. And then you go play Sea of Stars, and it's the exact same soundtrack, but like more modernized.
Wow!
And that leaf monster that you fight before you go to the castle, that's one of the first. That's like one of the first bosses in the Messenger. The exact same setup where you can't hurt him unless his leaves are off of his body and stuff like that.
Oh
and so,
yeah.
I don't know if you ever like. I thought it was kind of out of pocket to like you beat that boss and it's like this like weird like like really old school kind of like death sequence with like a weird like fanfare. I was like, okay, that was kind of out of nowhere, but that's because it was like from the Messenger. So
did you play the Messenger before or after this game?
I tried a little bit of it before at some point, but fell off of it, and then I tried it again after with the intent of playing all the way through it. But it's pretty hard, and I just gave up.
Okay.
Like
Fair
after
enough.
a couple hours, I was like, I give it a shot.
Backlog of Doom.
Yep. Do.
That area is really pretty. I was trying to like think about what maybe my favorite area of the game was, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But let's see. Yeah, I think it's really cool that he's the like narrating the beginning of the story, and then he's in the story. Like that whole section that Jericho mentioned was like a really cool section for me.
And I love that they have this whole like he has this whole like Magneto Professor X thing going on with the Flesh Man, sort of like we were friends and now we're on different sides of things, and we're not going to kill each other, but we're not going to not fight. And it's this weird little dynamic that they was like one of my only complaints really is how that kind of wrapped up at the end or didn't, depending on how we want to look at it.
Yeah. You didn't
But at
really.
the same time, again, it's like if you think about it, like I've been trying to reframe it of like the whole Professor. I kind of like X-Men a little bit. That whole dynamic of like, okay, like that's a pretty classic trope of like two diametrically opposed enemies who just won't kill each other off, but they won't leave each other alone either. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
They want to kiss, but they won't.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's
really
palpable,
felt that tension the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. One thing we did skip a little bit was the addition of the pirate crew.
Oh yeah.
Which
They were awesome.
I mean, the whole Sarai does. What is her pirate name? I forget.
Captain Cliche.
Is it really?
Yes. It's spelled all like it's like KLEE-SHAE umlaut. But yeah, it's Captain Cliche, and it's like, oh wow, she was hiding her identity.
That is so funny. I didn't even think about that until you just mentioned it. But
yeah, and then that one guy, they always call him Valtrade, and then you find out his full name is Jacko Valtrade, Jack of all trades.
That one didn't click with me. I missed that one.
No.
Oh, damn it.
Like everything about the pirate crew was like hysterical. Like, I just loved him so much.
I did too. I really liked that town. Was a little difficult for me. Like I feel like it was kind of hard to navigate. Was it Brisk?
Yeah. It was really tricky. Like
it was tricky, and then the song. Yeah. That's why it got stuck in your head because you were spending so much time there.
Yeah,
and the song was great for maybe 2 hours, but then I was having to go back and forth, and I'm like,
once hour 3 hits, you're just over it.
It's just stuck in my head now. It won't leave. It won't leave.
I know what you're talking about now because I looked it up and I muted myself to listen to it, and I agree.
Yeah.
I think I am jumping the gun a little bit, but my favorite area was the Haunted Mansion area. I loved the Haunted Mansion area.
That tracks.
That one was. It does, yeah. I loved that. Everything about that was like.
It was really cool.
Because you got the library, you got the spooky, it was just like perfect. But
that entire island, I think it was Wraith Island, was so well done, and like that perfect blend of like this is horrifying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that they're telling it is like so well done. Like the entire, what do they call it? The bar / the first stage of grief. So everyone's just in denial the entire time. Like, yeah. What does he say? Like remember. someone gets called to like go get devoured by this creature, and then the guy's like the innkeeper's like, hey, remember 10 seconds ago when nothing happened? And then they just go about their business because it's like that's just their life. They're just so like worn down. Yeah. And it's like, and then Garl's like, no, we're gonna help, guys. And they're like, I don't want to help. And he's like, no, we're gonna help because Garl. Yeah, when are we gonna rip that Band-Aid off? Because it's gonna happen soon.
No, we'll wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I did like navigating on the Vespertine. I thought that was it was a little hard at first on the keyboard. I don't know.
Thank you. No, it's really weird because on console you have to hold down square or X or whatever to move. Yeah, it's kind of strange, but you get used to it.
Yeah, and it was kind of tricky on keyboard and mouse too, like failing around. But I don't know. I feel like that's kind of realistic, right? It's probably not easy to go around on. Oh, we've got some of the footage pulled up.
I'm streaming from my yacht, so I can tell you from firsthand. It sucks.
That's funny, but I thought that I liked swimming around on the pirate ship. It felt very immersive.
Yeah, and again, like you were saying, like they tie all of it into like the story itself of like how you even get the ship and why you need the ship. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and all that stuff. Like that was because like again, I've played through it more recently than you guys, I think, as far as my other playthrough at least, where Yolanda or whatever how you pronounce her name is always trying to like brag up the ship and be like, but they're gonna get the Vespertine and it can even sail the sea of, and then she always cuts her off, and so you never hear her say it. And so eventually I was like, I wonder if it's the Sea of Stars, and it is.
Man, it makes me want to go back and replay it because I probably would have caught on to a lot more things like that.
Well, from the first playthrough, I thought it was gonna be Sea of Nightmare because that's where you go and like fight the captain, and that's how you win the ship is going to the Sea of Nightmare. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's all she meant. But no.
No.
There's more to it.
I can't believe like the little game's name is Sea of Stars, but when they talked about how they were going on the Sea of Stars, I was like, yeah,
It's
oh
like
my
Arrested
gosh, it's so
Development.
exciting. Yeah.
Hey, that's the name of the show.
Yeah. But what I would love to know. Oh wait, what was y'all's favorite character to play as? I want to know. I'm curious. Like your favorite character in battle.
I think it was my girl Valir. I just want to moonring the crap out of everything that I see at any point in time. Like, and I just love, like, you know, like, she got that bow staff kind of thing going on too. And
Yeah. For sure.
yeah, so I think she was mine.
Yeah, I was her most of the time. So any of like her and the teleporting Cereza teleporting, like any of the abilities where it's like timing was important, which I guess technically Zale's was too, but I love like having to time my attacks and getting multiple blows and see how far I could get, how many hits I can get in.
It took me a while to figure out how to do Sarais.
I had to look it up too, because I was like, I was getting so irritated. I was like, I don't know what it wants from me. As you know, I guess finally I landed on like, it was the height of the jump is when you what do you want from me? That's it.
I never actually figured it out.
Aw.
I kind of not
I was
fully.
like, oh man.
You should turn on that little relic that shoots out little sparkles every time you do it right.
See, I definitely should have done that. I think mine was also Valir, but I also liked Zale a lot. And I think they all had what I think is cool is they all had their like really beneficial aspects, especially like I loved the different combos that you could do and like as a group. And I also loved everybody's like special. What was it called? It wasn't like a special.
Ultimate, I think they call it ultimate attack.
Oh, I loved those so much.
Those
were so much
cool
fun.
to see.
I was starting to get worried that Zale and Valir would not get them. I was like, at what point did I miss something? I was getting concerned because I was like, I felt like it was way late in the game when this finally happened.
It was after the thing that we're waiting to talk about.
Yeah.
That's when it happens because they're like they've started to awaken their powers. Yeah.
It took too long.
Because but for the longest time, so that's like, you know, easily 15 to 20 hours into the game before it happens. And so up until that point, the only one that you've unlocked so far is like the cannons from the ship, which is cool. It's a cool cutscene.
It is.
But like you want to see more.
Which the cutscenes, I know we touched on that, but like, oh my gosh.
They were so cool.
Yes.
So cool. I wish we could have gotten some more, but I understand why. Like, you know, but I would love a whole show dedicated to this game and like this universe. And I loved the cutscenes.
I forgot that you mentioned like an anime at first. I was like, Kayla, this is an entire show dedicated to this game. Oh, right. You mean a TV show, not a podcast show. Got it.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you think we're doing here tonight?
A dedicated show, yeah. But I did like,
girl?
Not here. Nobody's home. It's empty. I saw this meme the other day that said it's understaffed up here, and it's understaffed. She's understaffed.
Overworked and underpaid, you know.
Yeah, literally working for free. I really liked the underwater place too, but that one I did feel like was confusing to navigate.
Yeah.
I did.
Or you could like change the water levels or whatever.
Yes.
That one, yeah. That was kind of
I had a hard time. Decorai Village.
Yeah,
I think
that's how I pronounce it in my head as well.
Yeah, I really liked the art and like the visuals, but yeah, there was some fights and some navigation where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. That was one of the places I had to restart from a save.
I'm lost.
Especially when you can like see a treasure chest, you're like, okay, I can totally get to that. And then you're like, but if I take that pearl out, it's gonna do this. Never mind.
Yeah.
I give up.
There's all the different like tunnels that you could go through and all that. I think that I'm trying to also think like what my favorite area was. I mean, the Haunted Mansion was great. Okay. But the Clockwork Castle also, that area I thought was really cool.
Yeah, the way it was done was so cool.
Yeah, and is this also the part in the story where you're in the desert just walking for a long ass time?
That is in Sarai's area. that part was a little tedious. Especially when you're trying to like go back and like complete the quests for her and or like 100% the game. And it's like you're having to solve riddles to find out which way to walk in this like maze of a desert. It was really tricky.
Yeah, I had to like take the L and be like, listen, I gotta look up where to go because I don't know.
I took that L. No shame.
No shame for me either. But yeah,
Took that L.
the castle part was really neat. I'm kind of just looking through some of the images. Is it? Do we? I think actually we have, no. That's not the video we have. Actually, this boss fight that we're watching now though was one of my favorite ones.
Well, that eclipse in the back, or like all
It
the
looks so good. I
I
took so many screenshots here just because it was so pretty. Like all the like little particles in the air, the eclipse. I love those colors are like my favorite combination. Any cosmic colors, I can just eat it up. That's why this game's so pretty. Oh my God.
The scene where Sarai has to open a portal by running around the inside of like the inner chamber of a mountain.
My God, it's so cool.
Oh, so cool.
The animators on this team like making everything. Obviously, everyone's really super duper talented, but like just the animations look so good. It's like like I was a Sega kid growing up. I didn't play a lot of Super Nintendo, so like this reminded me of my Sega Genesis when I was playing it a lot.
Yeah,
and like it's just so cool to see this kind of pixelation. Is it like you said? I'm not a bit nerd. I don't know what bits mean. More bits, the better pixels, right? Or how? I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm pretty sure this would be considered 16-bit because it's like very Super Nintendo era, like Chrono Trigger being Super Nintendo era also. It obviously looks a lot like cleaner than like they may have had the technology to do back then, but I think that's what you would call it.
It's just like if we had the technology, like this is what they would look like, these games. And it's just like, that's why I love this game so much. Like one of the things, it's like, it looks so good. They made the whole thing look really good.
Yes. Here's like how you can remember it kind of is Nintendo 64 was because it was 64-bit. And that's like full 3D.
I feel like bits and... I don't know why I said bits and dits. There's no dits in anything.
Son of a bit, you know.
Was like the
son of a bit.
You know, I don't know where I'm going. I sort of hijacked this conversation when I came back, so I apologize. I'm just gonna shut up now. Continue
this is your
on.
show.
No, it's definitely definitely not. I'm glad it's not.
No. We were just we just kept talking about favorite areas and how that desert, the Cerulean Desert, I think they called it, was like really look up a guide. Yeah, just take the L, look up the guide. I mean, I had to. Sure.
I was like, what? It's the same place over and over again.
I tried to solve that riddle. I really did. Yeah. I tried like 3 times, and I was like, I'm trying to get to this boss. Just tell me where to go, please. Someone tell me where to go.
Yeah.
I don't think there was really like a full-on bad area, but I'm such a sucker for like sci-fi type of stuff. So when we got to those areas and the way that the soundtrack shifts into more like
techie,
man, yes,
it was like it's faster and a little bit more. I can't describe it, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it was the beats and the sounds were like faster and cleaner.
It
was cool.
Yeah.
So should we go ahead and say that?
Should we talk about what happens? What the big the big reveal where the game just like flips me upside down?
Oh my God! Yeah, here we go.
Let's talk about it. Jordan, you can do the honors if you want.
Okay, so
I have the video playing. Too.
Yeah, that's where you first see that it's the Sea of Stars. We cross it. So, Garl. He continues being his brave little heart.
Brave little toaster.
Yeah. I guess to give a little bit of context for people who are listening who haven't played the game but don't care about spoilers.
Let me swap over to another vid. I'm jumping ahead. It's actually which one? Aha, this one.
Insane.
Yeah, that whole visual was incredible.
I didn't mean to click away. I'll bring it back in a second.
Yeah. Okay. So again, like the whole Professor S Magneto thing. Aforil, I guess the Fleshmancer and Rashawn have this whole agreement where they won't like directly interfere with each other's schemes, so they can like try to sneakily stop each other from whatever they're trying to do. But Sarai's not having any of it, and she throws his weapon at the Dweller, and so that like clues in the Fleshmancer that something ain't right, and he comes in to like exact his like they have like an eye for an eye kind of a thing. But rather than just letting his friends take the hit, like, and they would have been probably fine, Garl steps in and takes the hit, and it's gonna be fatal. And we had heard, I think it was back in the Dakari village, that he says something about a vial of borrowed time.
Yeah.
And so my assumption, so this happens, and I'm like, oh, no, no, you're not taking Garl from me.
I'm sorry?
Excuse me, no.
Huh?
My assumption was, okay, he's gonna use the borrowed time. That's gonna take us to the end of the game, and between now and then, we're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be fine. No, it's not what they did.
It's not fine, but also it's cool shit.
It is. You have like literally, it's like another maybe hour or two being very generous of like how much time
Probably,
he has of gameplay. I mean,
Yeah.
where like as long as he's like fully focused, I think again I just played this again like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I think the way that they phrased it was like as long as he's fully focused on like whatever purpose he asked for the borrowed time for, he's gonna be fine. But then once that task is done, he's gone, and there's no undoing it. There's no like stopping it from happening. I fully dreaded playing that section. I was like, I don't want this to happen. Like, don't do this to me. Like, I won't spoil another game for anybody. But did either of you finish Tears of the Kingdom, or at least finish the flashback sequence?
No,
like,
but
quest line?
my goal is to get through that. So yes, don't spoil me just
Okay,
yet. 'Cause
yeah,
I think I
I
might
will
get
not.
to that. I actually think I might play that eventually. Finish it at some point.
Nice.
It did remind me, this is not a spoiler, not really, but it did remind me of have you played The Last of Us Part 2, Jordan?
I know what happens.
Okay. It reminds me of the having to play as both of them, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to play this part. No.
Yeah, don't make me do this. Yeah, again, I won't spoil it. There is a part of like the flashbacks in Tears of the Kingdom where I clued into something that I was like, oh, I don't want that to happen. Oh, no, don't let that happen. Same thing here. And it was like, and they don't hold back. And if you're willing, Jerk, I put in those 2 songs in the Google Drive.
I'm ready to do it.
So the one song is Garl's theme song, which is first of all just baller, but also it's just like super peppy and super upbeat. I'm not sure if it's playing or not.
It should be playing now.
Okay. But then, so that's like his main thing.
Yeah.
And again, somehow I didn't catch this the first time I played through it, but he takes the hit. He's not doing good. Zale's like guardian god powers start awakening, and he like snags him and flies him back to the Elder Mist.
That was crazy.
That was so crazy. And then the song that starts playing when they're at the Elder Mist is the other song that I sent to you. It's his theme, but like in a minor key and like slightly reworked. And I didn't catch it the first time. And the other week when I was like, oh no, I started like tearing up. I was like, no.
I didn't know that.
Why did they do this?
That's cool.
Yeah, so I think it's called like I forget what the song title is for the soundtrack, but yeah, that's what they did for that scene. There was like a whole other track that's for like his funeral stuff that's not the same thing, but like yeah, when he's up there like asking for the borrowed time, and they're all like, go, and then we're all like, go, like that's like a minor key like swap of his theme, and I was like, that just broke me again. So thanks for that, Sabotage Studio. But so his task that he's trying to complete for the borrowed time is to get them across the Sea of Stars, because that's like where they're gonna chase down the Fleshmancer in his castle and all this stuff. And there's other things that we don't know yet, but so yeah, that ends up happening. He wakes the sleeper, this
with
awesome
a big piece of bread, which would
this
also
awesome dragon
work for me too. Am I a dragon?
Which
yeah,
Maybe.
could be.
I think I am.
That dialogue was hysterical because like this like Sky Council, he's trying to say like, this is how I'm going to use all these elements to do, they have like specific rituals for like who they let across the Sea of Stars, and he's like, this is how I'm going to do this, and I'm going to wake the sleeper, and I mean, who can? He says something like, "Who can wake up to the smell of fresh bread and be in a bad mood?" And they just like it's like mumble 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 mumble. We have no argument against that. Like yeah, you're right. And that just makes the whole like this scene that Jericho's playing now. It makes that whole scene like when you think back, you're like he missed this. Like this is the most like incredible thing that they've ever probably seen, and like he's not here to see it. But also they're only there because of him, and it's like oh my god, like rip your heart out. Just so yeah. Sorry, I just like monologued there for a minute.
Perfect.
So, please.
It's definitely the big. I wouldn't consider this like the middle of the game, but I definitely think it's like a little over halfway, because I could be wrong, could be like halfway there, but I definitely did not expect this kind of cutscene. I didn't expect this kind of. I would have never expected there was a whole other world. Or like, you know, from what I could understand, like a reverse, or you're going through I don't know if this is like a black hole, another universe. Like, I personally don't know how these worlds are connected. But I didn't expect that for sure. I didn't know there was going to be another world to explore. And that makes me think like, could there be more? We'll get to the end. Like, I want to know what else could happen after this, but just to know that this barrier was broken. I just didn't expect this from this kind of game, and it was very surreal at the moment. I was like, what the hell is happening? Am I playing a new game? Is this a brand new game?
Right. Yeah. I don't know if this would be a spoiler for the messenger.
I don't care. It won't.
It's fine. Yeah.
Because that's like, because I feel like I heard about this before I even played the game at all. Because actually, no, I think it's in the trailers. But like, yeah, at a certain point in the messenger, you go from being like 8-bit to being like 16-bit or whatever. So like the whole aesthetic changes, the music changes, like it looks all like, because you're jumping back and forth between like the past and the future or whatever. And so like I saw that happen, I was like, oh, they're doing something like this again. Of course it only lasts for that one, you know, like 1 minute scene, but it was so awesome.
I've never experienced anything like this in a game before. And what's funny is like Jericho was trying to like give me updates like while she was playing, and she was like, I think I'm almost done. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I said that so many times. I'm like, surely this is getting near the end. I can't see where this could go any further. And I'm like, oh, it just opened up so much more.
Cool. Yeah. This, like, I don't know if this is being dramatic, but I really don't think it is, because I think this is in my like top 10 video game moments. Like this whole like sequence of events is like top tier in like my top video game moments of all time. I think is really cool. Like
so not long after I discovered you guys was when Kayla was on Spotlight, and so that's how I got to be, you know, in with that gang, and there's just 4 amazing people. But anyway, so not long after that is when they started doing their like top 100 games of all time or whatever. And so like, you know, I submitted my little list of my top 15 or however many it was. And then I remember messaging at some point like before the episode, and I was like, I don't know, I kind of feel bad that I submitted my list, but now I finished Sea of Stars and it wasn't on there. And he was like, wait, seriously? Like you think it's like a top 100 of all time? I was like, it might actually be. Like it's just so good. Like,
yeah, that scene got me for sure. And then like I just then you just open this, like you were saying, it's totally different as far as the like music goes, and then you find out like Sarai, like her backstory and like what you're trying to accomplish with her. Like it's insane. Yeah. I can't.
And something else that I didn't notice until like I think I like saw something about it like while I was playing my first playthrough, somebody mentioned it, is that the UI changes when you're in her world. The UI is different. Like it goes from being like all the health bars and stuff are like kind of orange, but then when you're in her world, they're all like bluish. And I did not catch it at all.
Wow, I'm looking at some screenshots now. I didn't
like the fight
the video shows it. Yeah,
like they're all blue, but the earlier fights they were all orange. I did not catch that at all. But the fact that that battle theme that pops up a few times is like one of like my favorite video game music like stingers of all time anyway. But then like to come into this thing, you turn on the lights, it's like a techie, it's not a cave, it's like a tech, you know, room. I don't know, words are hard. but then that battle music starts up again, but it's like techie, like beepy boopy instead of just like do 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 do. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so into this, man. I'm so in.
I definitely thought the story was taking a turn to where it was like, almost like a, is this a simulation? Like, are these people actually for real solstice warriors? Because like all this tech behind the scenes, I was like, is this another world that's controlling this world? Which I know could always be a thing. I was just like, oh no, there's something deeper here. Because like you go from a world that seems to, obviously there's magic and inventions and things, and there's some progress with civilization, but you could definitely tell like, they don't have laptops everywhere, in the world that you start with, and technology. But in this world, it's a total opposite. So I was just like, whoa, what's going on this side of the black hole or whatever, like across the sea of stars. Like that's what I initially thought. I was like, oh, this is deeper. What's happening here? So I'm glad it didn't take that turn. Also, I love that kind of stuff, but it ended up taking a cool turn, a better way anyways.
It did. And like, just the whole world, of course, just shows how like just absolutely, was it depraved is not the right word. Just disgusting. The flesh mancer, like all the stuff that he does to these people is like just absolutely just horrifying. But something that I remember the whole like the moon being in the ocean thing, because that was a really cool visual for her world. But I had forgotten until this recent playthrough that like he did that on purpose, because without solstices, there's no solstice warriors. So there was nobody in Sarai's world to fight back, which is why she came across to find them in the first place. So like, that was a really cool little twist.
And then you meet little Beast. That's how we decided?
It's like B''ST, but there's like little in-game like puns that would make it think that it was Beast. So we're going.
I like it. It's cute. Yeah. And I remember asking Jerica to like figure out where she was at in this story of like who's with you right now. Like I want to like what characters are with you, but. I thought the animations were really cute for his character because he's all like blobby, you know? So I liked those. And then like, do we have any footage of the Medusa head person?
Oh, I don't think so.
No, that fight was, God.
Oh my God. Insane.
The visuals are really cool. Like the further you beat him, the more it's like
messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. But the fight itself, no.
It was hard. Yeah, it was kind of scary. The last couple visuals of the head's like face and stuff, and how it grabs the characters too. Yeah. That was pretty crazy. But I'm trying to think like as far as the remainder of the story, because I don't know if I told you guys this. I didn't play through the true ending, so I've seen it, but I didn't play through it, so I'm not like brand new to it, but I'm more disconnected from it. So, if one of you guys wanted to talk through like the conclusion, I want to make sure we don't miss anything as far as like the actual story beats. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add about the story before we get to the end?
It was pretty cool how they had like the kind of mentor solstice warriors be like so disillusioned from growing up without like a real like I mentioned earlier that the headmaster had like died, and so like a dozen other people, and so like Moraine was just like this like broken person trying to train these two kids, and so they were really disillusioned with the whole thing. And there was I don't want to linger to something. I'm like monologuing again, but there's like this great line that I like save screenshots of because I just love this like whole idea is like when you find out that they're like betraying the group and like Sarai tries to like, put the knife to his throat and stuff like that after they fight that dweller in the haunted mansion, and so what they're saying to Zale and Valir is like don't you want to be free from all this? Like don't you realize that none of this is your fault? Like all these things that are happening, it's not your fault. Like so like don't worry about it kind of a thing. But then Zale's response is that doesn't mean it's not our responsibility or yours. I was like, oh, I love that because shit happens to all of us. It's not our fault, but that doesn't always mean that we don't have to deal with it. So I'm like, that's a really cool like.
It's good, yeah.
Angle with like it's magic infused in like a fantasy world. That's like a really cool like thing. But yeah, like so in the original, just direct, straight shot to the credits ending, it's like this like mutated, monstrous version of one of their mentors that ends up being the final boss.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah, but speaking of Beast, I don't know if you all caught this because I think it took me a bit to notice it too. But whenever Rashawn is like making the living glass for Beast to live in, they're having like a conversation that's like really cryptic.
Yeah, I remember that. But
The conversation is about the true ending.
Oh my god, yeah, that makes sense because like yeah.
he says something about like only the three of you can go through the portal. Do you think you'll be ready? Like blah 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 blah. Because the true ending is so incredible because basically what happens, you beat the game, Euro credits, and then there's this like monument that you passed by like a couple of times earlier in the game anyway, right before you meet Teeks actually, that starts glowing. So the game clues you in automatically like, hey, there's something here, go check it out. And all you see when you try to look at it is like, I think there's like maybe 6 little things. And it'll just show like a little like hazy sprite of like one of the characters in the game, like Sarai or Rashawn or whoever. And that's just your clue to like see their story through basically. Because there's like a little side thing you can do for Sarai, for the machine gun robot lady. There's like a side thing you can do for Rashawn and like all these other things. Which, thinking back, it's like, those are all things that Garl would have done anyway, because Garl's the best human being there is, and all he wants to do is help everybody that he sees. Like, even if nobody else wants to help, he's the first person to be like, hey, don't worry, we'll help. They're Solstice Warriors and Valyrians. They're like, dude, chill. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, come on, man.
So it's like, oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah.
But so Beast is made of this like living glass, and the way that they describe it is like a force of like there's like incredibly strong will, like unbreakable will. And so you go to this monument, and when you go and do all the side quests and you come back, and there's like a little slot. Did you know this part, Kayla?
Yeah.
There's a little slot for like, I can't remember how it describes it. It says something about like an incredibly precious item or something. It's the cookie jar that Garl gives you when you're kids. It's the cookie jar. That's the final key. Is to put because it's been a key item for the entire game, and you're like, why
what do you do with it?
In my inventory, it's for Garl. And so basically you go back and they take Garl out. Beast takes the hit instead of Garl, and then like that way you can go back and confront the Fleshmancer. And again, Garl being the best person ever. It's like the exact. I went back and checked. It's like the exact same dialogue as far as like the start of the thing. Like, haha, you finally found your way here. You're so blah blah blah. But then instead, Garl's like, he throws a tomato or something at him, and he's like, why don't you fight us yourselves, you big loser? And he's like, you know what? Fine, I will.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love that.
It's so good. And like another thing that I love about it is because like that could easily be such a cheap trick of like, oh, okay, you did time travel and you saved him.
Yeah.
But that's not quite what happens, because even when you take him out of that, little time pocket that Rashawn makes to like set that in motion, it makes it very clear. No, Garl was dead. Like, he remembers being on the other side of whatever their, afterlife is, and that he can't talk about it, but he remembers being there. And then he has like a final wish. Cool. Yeah. Which I like that kind of thing where it's like, it wasn't a no consequences thing. Yeah, it wasn't a retcon. There were still consequences for what happened. He still did die, but you just found a way to like still have him with you at the end, kind of a thing. And then there's this whole other quest that you can do of like his final wish is to eat at this fancy restaurant, basically. So you do this whole other side quest and like get everybody together for this like really sweet little like everyone's just like toasting to Garl, and it's like it's all about Garl. It's all of it is. It's so good. It's one of those true endings that, at least for me, like it made it so worth it, because I wanted to keep playing the game anyway, because it's a fantastic game. And then like, again, thinking about the implications of what you're doing is like helping all these people. And that's the kind of person that Garl was. And then you get to have Garl back with you. And it's like, it's all like so like intertwined. And it's like really, really good. So I love how
I
they
think
played it out.
the guy that doesn't have any special abilities like loses his eye at the beginning for being dumb, and you think all he could do is just like
Idiot.
cook, yeah, and he ends up being like the staple to the whole entire story. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's
It
pretty
is.
cool.
Yeah.
Because that's like kind of a thing for other genre for other stories. So you think like Superman's got like Lois Lane and like his little reporter buddy. I can't remember his name. I'm not a big Superman guy. Sorry, Greg, if you're listening. But like it's like a pretty common thing. I feel like to have like the one human character in the midst of like the
Yeah.
superpowered people kind of thing. But like just the way that they did it was so like endearing. And I think probably better than most stories.
And
that I've
then
seen.
Garl's ultimate was so cool, like riding on the
Yes.
dragon, so dope.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's like he
Sorry,
was.
I didn't mean that.
No, I definitely
what
only
did you
used
do?
his combos as soon as I got him back. That's all I used. Like, if anytime I got a combo meter up high enough, it was just Garl's every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he had like all the ability, like all the I don't know the terminology for it, but he would have like if there was any kind of what do we call them again? Help me remember. Locks.
Locks.
There were any
Yeah.
locks. His ultimate was going to take out all of them. That's why it was so cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he the
I
best?
love that they give him that. Yeah. And then I do. Isn't there DLC that's supposed to come out for the game?
Yes, they haven't announced when yet, but yeah.
I will be playing that for sure.
Oh, yes.
I thought the ending was really great. I want to go back and play it and do everything to say that I like, because like you said, like I want to play more of this game. And I want to go collect all the conches.
Gotta get all the
Conches?
conches. There's 60 of them, I think. 60 plus might be. Like, there's a lot.
64?
There's a lot.
Maybe. Wait.
And I got a lot naturally.
I may be thinking of Animal Well. Animal Well has 64 eggs.
Oh,
There's a
It's
lot of
around that.
conches,
It's
you know what I'm
around
saying.
that amount though. It was.
Yeah.
There was so many of them. They're
Yeah.
everywhere.
I just can't believe this game exists.
Right. Like it's
And it
Oh,
sucks
for,
because I want more of it, and even with the DLC, like I want another game in this world or like something to continue it, which I would assume they would stick within the being in the same universe, but like based on the Messenger, I've seen gameplay of that and you sharing what you know of it, and then of course if they go beyond Sea of Stars with their next game, it looks like they're always looking, and I watched the documentary, looking for ways to do something new, like but going back to like retro style games and like how do they adapt that for modern consoles. So like I don't know what they end up doing next, but I'm selfish and I want more of this. I don't want them to do
For
something
sure.
else. Like I don't know. Like I know that sort of it's selfish of me to say, but like man, this was so good. I want more games like this. I want
It's
more.
such a special game. Such a special game.
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
Yeah, I'm looking right now. The Messengers only $20 on Steam, so I am adding it to my cart. Is there anything else they've done aside from the Messenger and Sea of Stars?
No. Just
No,
those two.
wow. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's just him, right? You said it's just one.
Oh no, sorry.
one guy.
That was Animal Well. Animal
Yeah.
Well was just
Oh.
one guy. There is a
Right,
team at
this is a- yeah.
Sabotage, but like Thierry, maybe that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. It's like THIERRY.
I forgot who.
He's like the lead.
Let me look who did the documentary. I forget.
I think it
But
was.
yeah, where is it? Where is that?
Hold on.
It's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Because they've done documentaries for like immortality and other stuff too.
The
I think.
Escapists. Yeah.
Oh, never mind. Thinking of something else.
Okay, yeah, because I definitely want to watch that because I'm really intrigued for the making of this for sure. Because like it just seems like so much thought and like effort went into it.
Yeah, it's only
Yeah.
like 30 minutes, but it's really cool just to hear like the history of the studio and what they did with like the Messenger and like how this game came to be. Like they also were developing during COVID and all that, like or about to I can't remember. They were doing something. They were either launching or about to start the campaign for the Kickstarter. I can't really
Oh, that's right.
something.
Yeah, I think I
well,
heard
no,
that.
it launched
Yeah.
last year, so it would have been. I think it was when they were about to launch the Kickstarter. Maybe I can't remember. There was like a big pivotal moment for them, and then COVID happened. It's good.
Yeah.
What unfortunate timing.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Messed up.
Speaking of that,
a lot of games.
I think I told y'all this tea. I'm gonna spill it again for the audience.
Do it.
Is that
Yes.
so?
Spill it.
I think that something about the messenger, Gerard, the completionist, was like a big fan and like really helped spread the word about it. And they've, I guess, Sabotage felt like they, that he really helped get them more reach than they would have otherwise, just because he was so into it. So they actually made a character for Gerard in the game. So when you go to the town of Mirth, he's like the guy that builds. They called him Gerard the constructionist because he was the construction guy. But then I don't know if y'all remember this. It was like back in December, a couple of YouTubers were like, "Yo, Gerard keeps talking about all this charity work that his stuff has done to raise all this money for charity, except none of it's been donated. There's like $60,000 just sitting that he claims to have been like one of the top contributors for some foundation, but it's never donated any of this money." And then all of a sudden they found a worthy place to donate it like a week later.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Sabotage took him out of the game.
Oh my God.
So now when you go back to Mirth and try to build something, it's a guy named Bob, which that took me a second, but he's Bob the Builder.
Oh, that's cute. That is cute.
So I was like, ooh, that is so. I mean, good on them, honestly. That's pretty shady stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he was on the Friends Per Second podcast with like Lucy James and Skill Up and Jake Baldino, and they kind of like parted ways after that too.
That's slimy.
Yeah,
for sure. I love that you have all these fun facts that I had no idea about. I love it so much.
I held up the art book. What I didn't hold up was the physical edition that I also own, and like the framed map that I like this game a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. I picked up a copy from I Am 8-Bit, right? So
yes, yeah.
I picked up a copy. I don't know where it went.
Show us. Oh,
well, I just rearranged my shelf.
It looks great.
I'll get it. It's right here.
Or pull on his leg, Jericho, your shelves look really nice.
I just had it. I don't know where it went.
They look great.
Thank you.
I love your Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's a cute little lamb. Yeah, this is like the little. I love this art.
Yep,
like
that's
it.
Case.
Yeah.
I don't know where it went.
Nice. Y'all are making me jealous.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Got a little shrine going.
Don't know where I put it.
A little bit.
Guys, I gotta tell you, I forget what was the name of the town that we were just talking about where it's
Mirth.
like Mirth.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought there was gonna be farming. Which there kind of is.
There kind of is.
Yeah, you just have to go back and pick your own crops. You don't get to choose what grows there, but
yeah, there is. Yeah.
I got excited for a second. I was like, is there going to be like a little like sim game involved in this? Like, I got really...
They have to harvest it for the They have to harvest it for the bread.
Yeah. That was and all the cooking was fun too. I liked that. That was a little cute, little added touch where you could like cook the things, and that was like girls thing, and yeah.
And one little thing I want to share from the art book. So like the in the Sea of Nightmares, you have to fight the captain, and you have to like fight his big old like.
Yes,
that guy was awesome. Like that fight was so cool.
Yeah, with like the like, I forget what you call it. Like the it's not an accordion. It's something very similar. It's like the pirate music boss theme was awesome. But like the whole thing I told you about where like present day Bryce will like come and like make comments in the art book. As usual, I wanted to throw some curveballs at him and thought it would be funny to give the Seaman a seahorse. I hate puns unless I think of them myself. So that's why it's a giant seahorse, because he likes puns.
Yeah. I mean, it looked awesome.
It did. It was like all the animated designs, the character designs were so cool.
Boss fights were so epic. So difficult at times and long-winded, but made it feel worth it when you finally kill the boss. So
oh yeah.
So
for sure.
Yeah. I think that I am excited for whatever they decide to do next. Obviously, I feel the same as Jarek. I would love more of this, whether that's DC or DLC. Like, no matter what that looks like. I think this would be a cool couch co-op. Like if they came out
they're doing that too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Where you could like play together, and they'll probably would add some cool story beats with it. But I didn't know that actually. I didn't know that was.
Yeah, I think what he said is that like he like showed some random videos like on like a Tuesday, just dropped where it's like you see Zael, Valir, and Garl all like moving independently, like one's picking the wheat, one's jumping down from the ledge, whatever.
Cool.
And he was like, would this be cool? I don't know. Like, just like, like really cheeky little post that he made. And I think that thing that I linked to y'all the other day, I think it was like, I think he said something about there being like like a dungeon that's like exclusive to that, like where you have to be doing couch co-op to do it.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
it would be. And I think that
Yeah,
the
a little
DLC was like one of the tiers of the Kickstarter.
Mm.
So we already know it's called Throes of the Watchmaker. So you're gonna have to go back and like get a quest from her or with her or something. But yeah.
So this Kickstarter is still up? Like they still have it up, or
I want to say that the page still stays there because I've been playing a
Okay.
couple of games the past couple months that have been like that were funded from Kickstarter. You can still go and like read about it and stuff like that and like see what tiers were met and stuff.
I'm looking it up. I did find it. Okay, yeah, it's still here. That's really cool.
Yeah.
What a success story.
Seriously. And like
I
remember thinking it was so cool that it was on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus day one, like
Yeah.
both. Because that's like extremely rare that it's both, not just one or the other. It's like, what kind of deal did they make with what devil? But it was worth it. I think they've said like 4 million copies, something like that, something crazy, like for a little indie.
It's wild.
Yeah,
Super
and
successful.
it won some awards last year, right?
Yeah.
It won
decent amount.
Indie of the Year, I think, at Game Awards.
Nice.
Actually, maybe
I was trying to
my
look. What were you that?
yeah, best independent game of the Game Awards, best indie game from Golden Joystick, best role playing game from the Game Awards. Oh, so nominated for that last one, but the other two they won. So
That's really cool.
yeah, well deserved.
What all? Did we have any like? I'm trying to think of. I feel like there's so much more I need to say about it, but I'm trying to think of like what other clothing thoughts we had. Like any other favorite moments or anything?
Um,
trying to think. Honestly, all of it.
It's a good game. It was a
Like
lot
the,
longer than I expected. So,
yeah,
which is definitely, you know, if you've spent money on it, if you bought a physical copy and bought it twice, well worth your money.
yeah.
It's well worth
I
it.
just thought of something.
What?
Say it.
Jericho, we didn't ask Jordan our question that we always ask new guests,
What?
but now he doesn't have time to prepare for it. But the cauldron.
I forgot all about that. Yeah, because technically it's your first time on the show.
Yeah.
We are such horrible hosts.
I've had a terrible
Wow.
time. Yeah,
I don't even remember the questions, Kayla. Like off the top of my head, I don't know them. Oh,
I remember now.
Oh,
It's coming back
what would
to
be
me.
like 5? I mean, we'll do it easy, so because you know, obviously you're just hearing this now. Like, if we were gonna put in some ingredients into a cauldron and summon your evil spirit from hell, which is not an
Wow,
evil
is that-
twin. Maybe that sounds a little like you're not making an evil version of yourself. But if we needed to summon a copy of you, what would be
Okay.
those 3 items we have to put in that cauldron?
Gotcha.
Stirring it up.
Honestly, I've
Yeah.
having heard some of the older episodes, I knew that this was a thing sometimes.
Oh yes.
So like I didn't like fully prep, so I'll still have to think for a second. So 3 things. Definitely like photo album with the fam, got
Aw.
Okay, that one's a good
with
one.
the wifey, got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, a son and a daughter. So we're it's awesome little group we got going. So that's one. That counts as one.
What else makes you you?
Probably one of my copies of Metroid Prime would go in
Okay,
there.
okay.
One of my oldest friend who's like still currently like part of my life. That game came out when we were in middle school, and I asked him about it so many times that it's like still a joke, like a meme, where I'll be like, "Hey Adam, have you heard of Metroid Prime?" And he's like, "I'm having flashbacks, dude. Don't do that." So that would probably go in there. And
I thought you were just gonna say that friend needs to go in there, like the whole body.
I'll let him stay. He just got married back in September. He's got a whole life to live, And then, ooh, that's tricky.
No pressure.
I mean, it
We're
could be
gonna
like
go
a
with-
taco, a hot dog, without the bun, whatever.
I think Jerica said a cheeseburger
Yeah.
at one point. I
The
think.
essence, the being of chorizo.
There you go.
Oh,
Just throw
Okay,
that in there.
that's good.
that's such a good one.
Yes. Solid ingredients to summon you
Yes.
from
So
some
if you ever
kind
need
of
me,
pit.
and for some reason my Instagram and Discord aren't working,
Okay.
just throw those 3 things in there.
That's all you
know?
need. Just throw them at your screen, and you will just reappear on everyone's social media.
That
all you got.
copy of the family photo album that I sent you guys last Christmas, you got that.
I've been
laying
saving
around
it.
there.
Yeah, I made a few
Yeah.
copies just in case. They're all over my fridge. Everyone comes over and is like, "Who's that
Aw.
family you have 50 photos of the same picture on your fridge?" I'm like, "Oh, it's just a close friend."
Yeah, it's just some
You
guy.
do have
his
a couple
family.
people on your fridge.
I do.
Several.
I've added Kristen Stewart, and her the strong woman from Love Lies Bleeding is now on my refrigerator with Hideo Kojima, my dog, and then me and Audrey. That's the
I didn't know your 5. That's
you
her
can
5 things.
You can learn a lot by just looking at my fridge. You don't have to look inside of it to know more about me.
Is Greg on there?
Actually, no. Well, I take that back. I think the whole kind of funny team is on the other side of the fridge. You can't see them unless you're getting medication out of the cabinet.
Relatable.
I took that. Yeah, I forgot. I got something else. Like they're in like their DC outfits, I think.
Oh, nice.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan, do you have anything to plug before we go? How do we reach you? How do we get to you?
How do you do that? How do you go find that rudimentary video essay from last September about Sea of Stars? That'll be on YouTube. Cognitive Clips. You can search that if you do like the whole / whatever, it's cognitive -clips. Some jerkwad only has like one video from 2014 already had cognitive clips. It's fine. I'm not mad.
There's
about
another
it.
jkgames too that I wish would just
No.
get off our radar. Just get off. You're not doing
Seriously,
anything.
they're clearly inferior anyway. Just give it up. It's kind of like when Johnny Cash covered Trent Reznor. He just gave it to him. He's like, no, Hurt is your song now, Johnny. Take it. But you can also find me on Instagram and Threads is where I'm most posting and stuff like that on socials besides YouTube. So,
Nice.
Dope.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Yeah,
so
well,
much
thank
for
you so much.
lending your knowledge and your passion about video games. We love it. Glad we got to geek out finally about this game, and maybe one day we get to geek about it some more. Geek out about it some more.
There's like Kayla was saying, there's so much more that could be said about this game because it's just so incredible. But thank you both so much for having. Like I said, I'm not lying when I say this is just a fantastic podcast you guys have, and there's a reason I've been following you for the past year, because you're awesome. So
Everybody's definitely
very excited to be here.
Back at you. Definitely take a look at some of your content.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good writer and talker of video games for sure.
I basically only started, smoozing up to Patrick and Cayman so I could be on your podcast. So now that that's happened, I just
Hey, anytime you have a topic, you listen to like, hey, we should talk about this. We're always down.
Absolutely, yeah, and
course,
we
I'm
appreciate
kidding. We love those guys. We love those guys.
We do love Spotlight Games. We actually are planning something soon with them. As far as like what we have coming up, I don't know the exact date yet. I don't think we've nailed it 100% down. But within the next month, we're going to be doing an update to our Fantasy League with all of us. You can see us all again.
Getting 5 adults to have a consistent, it's a miracle that it's happened twice already.
I know.
Truly, it is. But thank you also for always, you've been so supportive of our podcast, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We're not worthy.
Have to do it.
Not worthy.
Yeah, not worthy.
Yeah.
CC in the chat.
And live on the screen today.
Yes.
Wow, in the flesh.
Yeah.
CC on the screen.
All right. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Play Sea of Stars.
Yeah.